Hello and welcome to episode 26 of Made with Carlenergy. I'm Carlene and this is my knitting podcast. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Carlenergy as well. It is Saturday, December 30th, 2017, which kind of blows my mind. I don't know how this month has gone by so quickly. And Christmas happened, of course, so I hope you had a lovely Christmas if you do celebrate. And yeah, thank you for stopping by to join me for this episode. As always, I feel a little disorganized sitting down to do this, and I always feel like I'm going to be leaving things out. But I have been busy. I definitely knit some Christmas gifts and finished up some other things. So I have some fun things to show you. It's been snowing today, so I keep looking up because I'm looking out right outside the window to this really lovely snowy winter scene. I love the sky when it snows. And yeah, it's been snowing most of the day. It's not snowing right now, but yeah, it looks really pretty, especially with the Christmas decorations still up at my house, and then across the street at the neighbors, so it's quite picture perfect. Actually, I'll try to show you. Let's see if I can do this without making you dizzy. So there it is, just a couple inches, just enough to make it pretty. And this room I've been recording in, this used to be my brother's bedroom, but we've converted it into an office, so my parents have a desk over there, and I'm at my desk over here, and there's a little seating area with a coffee table, and we've put up some artwork all around the room. There's another chair there and a TV, and a closet full of my crafting junk, which I have to reorganize. It's all just kind of thrown in there in random boxes right now, but it's great to have a closet for all the stuff that kind of is overflow from my other bookshelves and stash cubbies and all those little places that end up full of yarn. I'm drinking this really nice tea by Stash. I talked last episode about how I kind of became a tea snob in Arizona because I was working at a tea shop called Seven Cups, and they do really nice loose leaf teas, but I still do enjoy a bagged tea. And this is Christmas in Paris by Stash. It's cocoa shell, peppermint, lavender, some chocolate flavor, and vanilla extract, and it's really nice. I like chocolate and lavender together. Yeah, so this is quite tasty, I think. Picked that up on Christmas Eve. We went out to the Christmas tree shops, which is not just Christmas stuff. I don't know if you have. I don't know if they're all across the United States or yeah, what if they're regional at all. But the Christmas tree shops is kind of just a little bit of everything. They have decorative home decor stuff and kind of a yeah, housewares section and a little toy section and all kinds of stuff. So that's where I got that tea on Christmas Eve, which was kind of fun. What else? So I've finished a few things. I did knit several Christmas gifts and gifted them, so I don't have them to show you anymore, which is a shame. I really kept meaning to film an episode before Christmas so I could show you the things I had finished, but I made another two hats. So I made a quadri hat by Michelle Wong for my brother's girlfriend, and I made that out of some Patton's classic wool that was cream. I just had a random ball of that in cream in my stash, and she wanted a red hat, so I dyed it red and made the quadri hat, which was really fun. That was my first quadri hat. And then I made just a simple beanie for my brother in just a black yarn that I had in my stash. And I finished a pair of socks for my mom, as well as the topiary scarf that I had shown last time. So I did finish that scarf. The topiary pattern is also by Michelle Wong. And I'm trying to think of what else. I had made a little sweater for my cousin's baby, or my baby cousin. She's my second cousin. And yeah, that's all. That's all not here anymore. But I've been knitting a lot. I somehow got a whole bunch of gifts done in a very short period of time. So that was nice. And I also finished this pair of socks, very Christmassy socks. So I am really thrilled with these. This is mustache yarn in one of her self-striping colorways. It's her perfect sock self-striping, so it was two perfectly matched 50-gram skeins. And this was the Tangled Lights colorway. And I got this last year. I had ordered it while I was living in Arizona and just never got to knitting it before Christmas last year. So yeah, I decided it needed to go on the needles. My cousin was having a Christmas party, so I knit these over the course of a week before her party because I got it into my head that I needed to wear this fun pair of Christmas socks to her party. And then I ended up wearing more of like a dressier outfit, so I didn't actually wear them at the party. But I'm really glad that I decided to get these on the needles. I actually knit them 2 at a time, cuff down 2 at a time, which I usually don't do 2 at a time, but I really wanted to get them finished, so I figured that would help with that. And I did the vanilla bean pattern, which is it's just a basic recipe really for a self-striping yarn. You can find the basic instructions. It's the Vanilla Striped Socks by Emily O'Grady, and so it's just a free sock recipe on Ravelry. But basically you just do a slip stitch. You slip every other stitch every time the yarn changes color between the stripes. And so that's what I did in between the bigger stripes. I didn't do it for the skinny stripes just because they were skinnier. I just figured I would leave that section plain. But yeah, so I did that. I did the vanilla bean concept in between the thicker stripes. And then I am so excited about this heel. So, oh, I forgot to grab this is a universal sock yarn, just a basic sock yarn. So I had 2 different colors of that. And so I was debating on if I wanted to use just the lime green or the maroon as just a plain contrast heel. But then I decided to use them together, and I did the Aya Partridge heel and just changed color every 2 rows, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what how the colors would distribute themselves by doing that. But it ended up as kind of this plaid, and it kind of looks like little stars, like rows of little stars, which I was so excited about. So I'm just really glad that I decided to play around with that and try doing the 2 colors. I think it looks really cute with the rest of the sock. And then so with the toe, I did the same thing. I decided to do just a stripe of the maroon, so I got the little star effect on the toe as well. So and then yeah, I just did the plain on the bottom of the foot side. I didn't do the slip stitch on that side. Yeah, so and they're kind of fuzzy because I have been wearing them, but I'm so happy with them. They were super fun. I was having a lot of fun just playing around with techniques just to make them a little bit more than a vanilla sock. And it was fun to do them 2 at a time since I don't usually do that. And yeah, I'm really happy with them. I think they're super cool. So yeah, I finished those probably the second week of December. I think I just knit on those like crazy. And I have a bunch of other Christmas sock yarn that I just haven't gotten. I didn't get to this year. It's kind of been building up over the past couple years. So I think I might, yeah, I might try to get some of that on the needles during the course of the year, just so I can have more Christmas socks ready to go next year instead of feeling like all of a sudden it's November and I want to knit Christmas socks, but it ends up being a little too late. And then last episode I had shown you my pile of shawls that were almost finished but not quite, shawls that I had done all the knitting on and then threw in a basket without leaving in the ends or blocking them. So over the course of this month I've been trying to block some shawls. So I'll show you, I guess in order of what I finished knitting, and then yeah, so this is I knit this when I first got to Tucson, which was September 2016. So it's been finished for quite a while as far as the knitting goes, and I just had to block it. So this is the Across the Pond shawl by my friend Mina Phillip, who is the knitting expat. And I think of this as my tea party shawl because this yarn is Hedgehog Fibers twist sock in the teacup colorway. Teacup. And then the border is Skeiny dipping yarn in her merino singles base in the tea leaves colorway. So they're both they go so well together. Like there's spots where the color change happened where they just, yeah, like right there, they just blend right in together. So I was so happy with the way that happened because the brown speckles in the teacup colorway just match up so well with the tea leaves from Skeiny dipping. And yeah, so I'm really happy with how this came out. I think it's really pretty. The only thing is, I think I screwed up on the border because there is a picot bind off, and I think I had started doing it as the right, like there's more of that pointed edging at the beginning here, and then it became really hard for me to block out the points on the rest of the shawl. So I think what happened was I had started binding off in the picot pattern, and then I just stopped doing the picot edge and was probably just binding off like normal because it was really, I didn't get as much of a distinct point for each little picot edge. So yeah, I would have liked to have a little bit more definition on the border, but I still pinned it out as best I could to get that ruffled edge. So yeah, I don't know what I did there. And it's been so long since I made it that I would not be able to remember whether I randomly started doing a non-picot edge or not. But yeah, it's super pretty, and that's my tea party shawl. So glad to have that one blocked. And then I also blocked my building block shawl by Stephen West, which was one of his mystery shawls. So this turned out enormous, as you can see, and it's super drapey and very comfy. All the yarns in this, let's see if I can remember. I know that this is Woolen Vine Yarns. It was part of her Edward Gorey yarn club, and this was B is for, oh no, it's the colorway is called Attacked by Bears because it was based on Edward Gorey's alphabet book. So yeah, so that's her Attacked by Bears colorway, which was really fun. I think that might have been, yeah, I really enjoyed being part of that yarn club. This might have been my favorite, although Fig Bash was also part of that yarn club, and I love that one as well. But yeah, so that's Woolen Vine yarns in her Volca base, which is her MCN, and I really liked how the speckles and the red there went with this colorway, which is from Dream Color. I don't remember what it was called. I got this yarn and then the cream yarn. That was my first time going to Grandma's Spinning Wheel in Tucson, where I did end up working while I was living there. So that had been my first trip to that shop to get this one and then the cream, because I already had the Volan Vine yarns and then the teal yarn, and I needed 2 more colors for this shawl. So I went to Grandma's Spinning Wheel and picked the red and the cream up to go with them. So that was special, since it was this kind of represents my move to Tucson and my first trip to the yarn shop that I ended up working at for quite a while. So this is Zia Wools in the Between Yoshi and the Dude colorway, and that's by Paper Dag. So Paper Dag is the dyer of Zia Wools, and yeah, that's the colorway she did to represent my parakeet, the Dude, and Candace from Pin Feathers and Pearls, her parakeet, Yoshi. So that's a very special yarn. And the cream color, which is a really nice cream with speckles of gray and kind of lavender and peachy tones in it. Very subtle, but I really like it. So that was actually dyed by a guy named Jimmy, who used to work at Grandma's Spinning Wheel before I had, and so he had dyed that yarn. So that was also very special to buy some yarn from Grandma's that was hand dyed by another employee. So yeah, happy with that one as well. It makes such a difference to block them. This could have gotten away without blocking, but it's so much drapier with blocking, so I'm really glad I did that. And then my most recently finished shawl is my Speckle Pop, which was the most recent mystery knit along by Stephen West. And this came out really cool. This definitely needed blocking because of that edging. And yeah, this is such a cool shape. I love how this edge swings out a little bit. Yeah. And I knit the edge several rows longer than what the pattern had been written for. I'm not sure how many rows longer, but I definitely made a longer edge, which I'm really happy with. It's like, I don't know, it's like feathers or like a dragon wing. I don't know. It's super cool. And yeah, I really like how the colors turned out in this. And I think I did. Yeah, I have all the yarn information for this one. There's 7 different colors in this, so I won't go through all of them. But I did have all the yarn information for this in my last episode. And I really like wearing it just over the shoulders. It almost has a kimono type of, or like a robe type of feel to it, like this. So yeah, I really like the shape of it. And I wasn't too sure about it. I wasn't really, I think, honestly, with a lot of Stephen West patterns, well, yeah, obviously the mystery ones, I never know if I'm going to like the final shape of them. And then once they're blocked and I try putting them on in different ways, they are always, like, they seem like they might not be that wearable, or they might be more difficult to style. But once they're finished, once they're blocked, it all kind of comes together, and I think they are really versatile. So yeah, I mean, I think it looks great like that as well. So yeah, I'm happy with this one, and I want to wear this one to Vogue Knitting Live, which I am planning on going to Vogue Knitting Live in New York City coming up in a few weeks. It's like the weekend of the 12th. still have to get my ticket, which I hope I'm not too late to do that. I don't think so. I don't think the marketplace tickets necessarily sell out. But yeah, got to get on that. So yeah. And I'm pretty sure Stephen West is going to be there. I have never met him in person. So yeah, I really want to wear this and be able to, yeah, represent my Stephen West obsession. Yeah, I really hope to meet him at Vogue Knitting Live because I haven't gotten the chance to yet, and you know, it just seems like, I mean, obviously I know it won't be, you know, it will be a very quick encounter, I'm sure, and I'll maybe get a picture because he's always, I'm sure, really mobbed at events, but it always seems like he's just really personable with everybody, you know, like does take the time to like, you know, give a really, you know, energetic photo and everything with anybody who wants one. So I am excited to meet him and show off my Speckle Pop. So yeah, I think that's all my finished objects that I wanted to show you for now. And I did get a new tattoo last night. That might be, yeah, that might be showing up as I'm showing things, so I'll just talk about that really quickly. I was I I went into the city. Was it yeah, Thursday evening? Pretty unexpectedly. I had a friend that was in town only for a couple nights, so I randomly went into the city just for the night, just to catch up with my friend who's been traveling all over the place for work. So yeah, I haven't gotten a lot of chance to catch up. So I went to the city on Thursday and then was headed back on the train yesterday evening and happened to comment on my tattoo artist's Instagram, the same artist that did my half sleeve. His name is Brian DeCola, and he works at White Lotus Tattoo Shop in Toms River, New Jersey, which is right down the street from where I'm living right now. And so I got this done. I finished this up at least 4 years ago, if not 5. Yeah, somewhere between 4 and 5 years ago, and haven't gotten tattooed since then. And I really wanted to get tattooed in Tucson because there's like a shop on every corner, and there's some really nice artists out there, but just it never happened. And anyway, yeah, so I was on the train ride back from the city last night and happened to comment on some of my artist's recent tattoos that he's done on other people because I've really been enjoying his work lately, especially his dot work. He's been doing a lot of black dot work shading. And yeah, I'm sorry if you're not interested in tattoos, but I'll try to make this really quick. But anyway, so he was at the shop and he didn't have any appointments, so he said, hey, why don't you just, you know, why don't you come in and visit, and we'll do something fun. And so yeah, I ended up going and getting a tattoo right after getting back from Brooklyn last night. So yeah, if you don't like tattoos or you're squeamish at all about bruising, it's starting to bruise a little bit, which is totally normal with this part of the arm. This definitely bruised up a lot when I got that done, but it's not too ugly or anything. It's just slightly bruised. So if you don't want to look at it, then I will let you know when you can turn back to the screen. But so it's a cicada, and yeah, it's really nicely shaded with dot work. Yeah, it's starting to bruise just up in this area, which is totally normal because this is a very sensitive part of the arm. But yeah, I'm really thrilled with it. Cicadas have always been, I always liked collecting them, you know, like I've always liked insects, and I would find the the cicada husks and like just have them as little objects that I thought were really cool. So they've always kind of had a personal symbolism for me, and then they're kind of a symbol of renewal and longevity, and yeah, they have a nice symbolism to me as far as regrowth and change, transformation. So I decided to get that little guy. So yeah, that was super fun. Really random, totally unexpected, but yeah, it was nice. It felt good to get something that kind of represents me, kind of yeah, making this big change, coming back to the East Coast after living out west and trying to figure something else out, get my stuff together basically, and yeah, do something else. So yeah, that's my new tattoo. My new, I guess it's a finished object. I didn't do it, but so works in progress. I started a new sweater because this is a sweater that I need in my wardrobe. I keep reaching for it even though it's not made yet. Really has started to frustrate me that I don't have it to wear yet. So I decided to just cast it on, even though I'd really wanted to get some stuff off the needles first before starting another major project, but I need this sweater. So it became an absolute priority. And I am using Jill Draper Empire. So here is my enormous skein. I got this a couple years ago now while I was still living up in Wassaic, New York. And so this was an Empire skein. And they don't have colorways because they're all pretty much uniquely dyed. Jill Draper, amazing. And so these come in 1,280 yard skeins of Aran weight, 100% Rambouillet. So it's super sheepy. It still smells really nice and sheepy, in a subtle way. And it's got a base of this kind of like mushroom taupe color, and then a green, like very mossy green overtone. So yeah, I balled this up. I actually did put this on my skein or my Swift and wound it as much as I could on my ball winder, just my normal ball winder. And then it eventually became too big to keep going around on the ball winder, so I took it off and just hand wound from there. And I am making a cardigan. So there's two different sides. I'm knitting from either end of the ball right now on two different sides. So this is the Asymmetrical Cardigan by Nora Gahn. It's in her book Knitting Nature, which is, I think this was, let's see, this was published several years ago now. I want to see the year on it. Oh, I forgot that I got this signed. This was published in 2006, and honestly, I love this book just as much as when it first came out, and still pretty much want to make almost everything in this book. The patterns in this are so unique, but so, they're like they don't, what am I trying to say? Like they haven't gone out of style at all. I feel like they're still really versatile. So this is the one I'm making. So it's got, it's called the Asymmetrical Cardigan. So one front side is is wider than the other. So it looks like there's also a length difference from the way that they styled the photo, but it's just that the one side is wider than the other. And I bought this yarn with that cardigan in mind. But yeah, I want to make everything in this. It still, I think, holds up so well as a pattern collection that it hasn't, I mean, it's 10 years old now, and it hasn't lost its uniqueness, or it's still just as interesting. So yeah, I love this book. And I'm really excited about how the colors looking with this. And the pattern's super fun to do. It's a pretty intuitive cable repeat, and it's just a simple, or they're not even cables, it's a twisted stitch, so it's kind of like a cable, but not actually cabling, if that makes sense. So that's one side, and then this side is done. It's just the skinnier side. And it's a weird construction because you do the two sides and then keep knitting until the sleeve is the right width, and then that goes right into the back. So it all ends up being one piece that you fold over and seam. So it's an interesting construction. And so I'm really enjoying knitting that. And this, I also started it with the goal in mind to wear it to Vogue Knitting Live, which I think I definitely, with the progress I've made on it already, I haven't worked on it in the past week or so, but I think I can definitely pull it off if I dedicate my time to it for Vogue Knitting Live. Yeah, the first half went really quickly. It is Aran weight, and I'm knitting it on size 9s, I believe. So it goes quickly. And I'm also working on a hat that I want to finish. I haven't been knitting in the past couple days too much since Christmas happened, and then I randomly went into the city the past 2 days, so I haven't really been knitting. But I did, yeah. I mean, I guess that's okay because I definitely got a little tired of the Christmas knitting. But this is the Skeleton Key Slouchy Tam. It's a pattern on Ravelry by Simone van Eiderstein, and I've had this yarn in my stash for a while. This is from the Sachem Farm, which is up in Warren, Connecticut, and it's actually a winery. It's called Hopkins Winery, and then they also have a little sheep farm on site, which is very cool. And so this is a blue-faced luster and Romney blend, and this is the chamomile colorway. So it's this really nice acidy yellow, and I really like their little label. So yeah, I visited this farm a couple years ago and picked up the skein. Sorry, my phone's going off. So I got a good chunk done, and then I'm just so the Skeleton Key pattern is a really neat cable, but I haven't really gotten to the impressive part of the cable yet. But I really like that this patterns that have the cable included in part of the ribbing. I always really like that. It's the same that it is with the Quadri hat by Michelle Wong. I always really like when that happens. Oh, and then this stitch marker, little pair of bird scissors. I got this at Chelsea Yarns in Red Bank, which is a really amazing shop. And this is from Snippy Scissors. So yeah, really like that little guy. I've been using that on all my, I used that on basically every Christmas hat that I made. And I think the last whip is my Christmas Eve CastOn, which is a tradition hosted by Little Bobbins, Danny of Little Bobbins Knits, and I tried to participate in the Christmas Eve CastOn a couple years ago and never really got anywhere with that sock. So I tried again this year, and I did use her "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" sock pattern, which she released this year to kind of commemorate the Christmas Eve CastOn. So it's this little tree pattern, which I will say So the yarn I'm using is a homespun house, and I've had this for a while. It came in a Christmas kit that she had done with a bag and some stitch markers. And so this is a homespun house gingerbread cookie colorway. I don't know if she kept dyeing this one or if it was just for the kit. And this is on her, I think it was her Dale base at the time, and again, I don't know how her bases have changed, but it's a 100% 19 micron merino, and I don't think it's superwash. So I wasn't sure if I was going to make socks with this, but I know that there'll be a pair that, yeah, are more basically just the seasonal Christmas sock, and so there'll be a nice comfy sock, very soft for me to wear around Christmas time, that won't get too much of hardware, but just be a nice sock to celebrate Christmas with. And I wanted to use this yarn with this pattern for the Christmas Eve cast on because Little Bobbins and then Molly of a Homespun House. So Danny and Molly did really beautiful Vlogmas episodes, or yeah, Vlogmas series this year, and yeah, I watched a couple different Vlogmases. I actually have to catch up on a couple of them that I had been watching, but then lost track after right before Christmas. But yeah, I really enjoyed Danny and Molly's Vlogmas videos, and so I wanted to kind of have both of them involved in my Christmas Eve cast on. And I might have chosen a yarn that was a little more subtle as far as the variegation, so you could see the little trees a little bit more clearly, but I think it's still successful. Yeah, it's easier to see them when the sock is on my foot or on my leg. But the little trees are there, and then the little tiny trunk going down the foot. So I think the yarn is just subtle enough to not totally obscure the pattern. And yeah, I might have used something a little more subtly variegated, but I'm happy with how this is turning out. And I really like this sock pattern because it's a little bit different in the heel construction than I'm used to. And yeah, so it had this square heel versus the one that I usually do. So that was really fun, and it also a different cast on than I'm used to. So that was really nice because I have been wanting to kind of experiment with my heel construction for a while. So it was really fun that that was included. Danny includes really great tips on doing the heel and yeah, which cast on she prefers and all that stuff. So it's a great sock pattern just for technique, besides being a really lovely pattern sock. And what's really nice about it is Danny had kind of described it as she wanted it to be a pattern where you could cast on Christmas Eve, where you had a little bit of time to kind of settle in with the more complicated pattern. So it's just enough to be really interesting and fun and addictive to knit. And then the rest of the round of the sock is vanilla, just plain stockinette. So it is a really nice thing where Christmas is really busy, so you know there's not you don't want to be concentrating too much on a pattern, but it's just enough to be really fun to do. And then by the time Christmas Day rolls around and you're busy with family, you have more of a vanilla foot to work on, which is exactly kind of what happened for me. I was able to put I got most of the little trees done during Christmas Eve, and then I could just flow through the foot while I was opening presents with family and having dessert and all that wonderful stuff. So it was perfect for that. And yeah, so I haven't been working on this the past few days either. Yeah, I need to knit today. Oh, I do have one more work in progress. Another sock. And this is in my hand-dyed yarn. Oh, I'm like in the middle of, for some reason I'm in the middle of the round. I don't know why that happened, but This is the Irving Sock pattern by my friend Jacqueline Salem of Brooklyn Knit Folk. And so it's this amazing Art Deco inspired cable panel, and then just a pearl bump pattern on the back side, and I'm on the foot at this point, and I love how it looks, and I'm really excited about how it looks in this yarn. This is a yarn that I dyed that I'm definitely going to try to repeat this colorway. It's got some light rose and then minty green and mustard yellow, three of my favorite colors. So how could you go wrong combining them all together? So yeah, I'm really happy with how this looks, and it's a really fun pattern to work on. Jacqueline, you did an amazing job with writing the pattern, and the design is just, it's so great. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. I did do a different heel. I think she has instructions for a short row heel, and I did my usual heel turn and gusset with the Eye of Partridge heel. So this has been, yeah, I'm really happy with all my sock projects lately, if you can't tell. But yeah, this one is extra special because it's my hand-dyed yarn, and it's Jacqueline's pattern, and it's coming out just how I wanted it to, so that's super exciting. This is what the yarn looks like in the cake. And I'm using size 1 Chow Goose magic loop. That's how I do all my socks at these days. I actually did break a Chow-Goo needle the other day. It was definitely an older pair that I've made several or many socks on, and it snapped at the join between the metal and the cord. And I know it's because it's been bent that way so many times to do the magic loop. So I don't fault Chow-Goo at all. They're the one needle company that I've had the least breakage or like manufacturing error issues with. They're my favorite needles, so it didn't make me feel like it was a defect in the needle. I think it was just overuse, and I think sometimes it happens. And yeah, I mean, of course, it's really frustrating if you have a brand new set of needles and they break. But as far as ones that I've used a lot, you know, I wasn't necessarily surprised that I broke one, but I still had to scramble to get another one and get it going again on another needle. But yeah, I love Chow-Goos. They're very solid as far as yeah, like I barely have ever had a problem with them. Although I do have the oh, I'm gonna pronounce it wrong, and I even watch pronunciation videos. The Lika needles, Luca. I saw that they have new colors, so I have the gray set, and now they have an indigo colored set and an umber, which is like a mustard yellow set of needles. And I mean, obviously I don't need another set of those because I have the gray ones, and I have my Chow-Goos, and that's plenty for now. But very tempting just for aesthetic reasons. Yeah. Let's see. I think other than that, I have some stash enhancement and a book I just want to talk about, and then I will let you go. But I did a trade with Samantha of Lavender Loon Yarns, Lavender Loon Yarn Company, and she had seen a yarn that I was dyeing on my Instagram, and I asked her if she wanted to do a trade, and we did, which was really awesome. It's really helpful to to get other perspective from other dyers of what I've been doing. So I was really happy to send her a skein of yarn that I had dyed, and she sent me this skein, which is called Mistletoe Crush, and it's her 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon base. and yeah, so fingering weight sock yarn. And I love Samantha's yarns. I used one of her mini skein sets in my Speckle Pop shawl, and she makes absolutely gorgeous colors. So this is really great. And she sent really fun little extras like this stitch marker. She sent me some chocolate, which is long gone, some tea, and she also sent me a mini skein, which I will definitely do contrast heels and toes with the mistletoe crush. So thank you so much, Samantha, and thank you for posting what I sent you on your Instagram, because I got a lot of good feedback that way, and it makes me really excited to get back to dyeing. I haven't been over the past couple weeks, just because Christmas, and yeah, I took a little break from it. I think I needed to do that because I had been piling up colors that I had dyed and not really sure how I felt about them, and then I didn't look at them for a couple weeks. I didn't really pay attention to any of the stuff that I had dyed for a couple weeks, and now that I'm looking at it again, uh, it it's a lot easier to see it from a third person perspective, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with a lot of the stuff that I've dyed so far. Now that I'm removed from that really critical eye that first happens when it comes out of the dye pots, and now that I can look at it from a more removed perspective, it's always the same way with it's always been the same way with my writing. If I've been I used to I used to be really active with writing poetry, and it was always really helpful to put it in a drawer and not look at it for a week and then read it from a fresh perspective. So I'm finding that it's the same way with my dyeing. So yeah, it's definitely something I need to get back to now that the holidays are over. I have a lot to do to get a website going and to get my labels all squared away. So yeah, I've been a little bit on hiatus with all those plans for the past couple weeks during the holidays, but I'm really excited to get focused again now that we can get New Year's over with, and yeah, I'm excited to get back into the studio, even though it's cold. That's the one thing about the garage studio. Um, I have little space heaters, but yeah, it definitely makes it one of the challenges of this time of year to go into the garage to dye yarn. But I will bundle up, and it helps that the pots will be hot. There'll be a lot of steam involved. So yeah, I want to talk about this book, which is called Sock by Kim Adrian, and it's an adorable little book. I did not know about this book at all. My ex actually sent this to me, and I'm so glad he did. So it's about socks, and the author is a knitter, but she talks about how she tried to knit a sock, but it just wasn't really her thing. But she goes into the history of socks and how they were made before kind of the knitted sock became the standard, and just really interesting anecdotes about socks and art. And I mean, it covers a whole range of topics that you would never think just from thinking about socks. I really enjoyed it. I finished this book in one sitting. It is really small, but I definitely recommend this if you are a sock knitter, or if you just like socks in general. It was really great, and I will definitely read it again. And yeah, it does talk about sock construction and knitting a little bit. So I think, yeah, if you're a sock knitter, you will really enjoy this book. I'm so glad I found out about it, because it's great, and I don't think I ever would, because it's not a knitting book, so it wouldn't be put in like a knitting book category, but it's definitely very knitter friendly as far as a good read. And yeah, for Christmas I got a few books. that I had actually picked out, and then they were wrapped by my parents. So I picked these out at a yarn shop a few months ago. I did get the complete surprise book for the Elizabeth Zimmerman baby surprise jacket, and then this covers all the different variations of the surprise jacket. So that's a good one to have. And then I also got Tudor Roses by Alice Starmore, which is definitely more of an inspiration book versus a pattern book that I see myself making a lot of things out of. But it's just a really gorgeous book to look at. Let's see if I can find one of the... yeah, so it's patterns inspired by the women of the Tudor dynasty, and which I do not know much about, but this is making me interested in going through the history of the Tudors. Yeah, just so that one's this is actually something I could see myself making or adapting, that the Fair Isle pattern for a different cardigan. So yeah, it's just a really gorgeous book to look at, and there's definitely elements of these designs that I can see myself playing around with. Ooh, I'm gonna hit myself in the face with it. It's really heavy. But yeah, just a really beautiful kind of lookbook to have around for inspiration. And then, so all this stuff came from Echo Valley Yarn Emporium in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And the owner used to have an alpaca farm, so this is called Natural Echoes from Echo Valley Fiber. And so this is a 100% alpaca. I think it's about, worsted weight. Super fluffy. I really liked this color. So yeah, I picked this out while we were there, and it got wrapped up for Christmas. And then I also got 2 skeins of this really fun sock yarn. I don't know much about this company. It's an Italian brand, so it's called Lane Cervinia. Excuse my pronunciation, but the label's really cute. And then this is called Forever. So it's just a basic, I think it's a 75-25. Yeah, superwash merino and polyamide. And I just really liked the colors, and it was inexpensive. So I'm really excited to knit that up, because it definitely will have some kind of faux Fair Isle design. So yeah, that was my Christmas knitting. I also got other sheep themed things. I got sheep slipper socks and things like that, which is really nice. Yeah, I also got some typewriter themed things. I got Tom Hanks' new book. Tom Hanks wrote a book of short stories called Uncommon Type, and so Tom Hanks I'm a huge fan, and he has a collection of typewriters, as do I, which I didn't intend. I started out just wanting a typewriter to actually use and write on, and then I had a manual one, and then somebody gave me an electric one, and somehow I acquired another one. So I honestly don't know how many I have at this point, but it's kind of ridiculous because they're big, heavy objects that take up some space, and I mean, I can't use them all. So it's happened a lot because my mom works for an estate sale company, so they just show up because she's cleaning out these older people's homes. And so there's just a lot of typewriters that show up. And I actually did get another one from my brother and his girlfriend this year, which is a really nice one that I think will be a good one to actually use. But yeah, I have a bunch of typewriters right now. I need to take stock of exactly what I have, and what brand they are, and if they're rare or worth a significant amount of money, because some are more rare than others. But anyway, so I also have been getting typewriter themed stuff for the past couple of years. which is fun. It's nice because knitting is, I mean, it's like really integrated into the mainstream at this point. Like I got the PJs, the knitting PJs from Target. So there's just tons of knitting and sheep themed things out there, which, hey, bring it on because I love to have all that stuff around. It's really great that um, knitters are easy to gift for at this point because it's really kind of, we're ingrained into, just culture in general, I think, with all the crafty stuff that's going on. So, yeah, I feel like I'm totally rambling at this point, and it's been almost an hour, so this is another long episode. Thank you so much for joining me for a little bit to see what I've been up to, and hopefully I can start making more frequent episodes so they don't have to be so long. And again, I am very excited to get going with my yarn dyeing. It's time to really focus and put the work in to uh, get my little company going. And yeah, I've been missing dyeing yarn a lot, so I'm really excited to get in there and start reorganizing and playing with color again. So I hope you had a lovely holiday season so far. Happy New Year, happy 2018. I hope you have some really fun plans for the new year as far as your making goes. And as far as I think about it, you can make resolutions at any time of the year. So um, I don't necessarily feel like it needs to be this big daunting thing of like, what am I going to do? What are my resolutions? But I see it more as like excitement over, yeah, the plans that can be made, and the goals that can be made for a whole fresh year of knitting and making and doing things that you've wanted to try. So I think those decisions can be made any time of the year to kind of start fresh, but it is a nice universal sense of like, okay, it's a new year. Let's do some stuff. Let's do some fun, cool, great, inspiring things. So anyway, yeah, totally rambling, not making very much sense. Thank you again, and uh, yeah, have fun. Enjoy your yarn, enjoy your knitting, and I will see you next time.